Throughout the competitive Smash Bros. Scene, Luigi began as the first clone character, but has evolved into his own character completely. Luigi's funky movement and combo-centric playstyle, as well as his wacky moves, not only provide great entertainment, but also hype moments for the players. His strong, consistently noted gameplay throughout the series has been a defining factor of his, and he excels at gimmicks and single options. In this video, Luigi's time throughout the Smash series will be looked at. Today, we'll be analyzing Luigi's moves, results, strengths, and weaknesses as we take a deep dive into Luigi as a Smash Bros. Fighter. Luigi was initially the first clone character, but so much has been done to evolve him past this time as an almost carbon copy of Mario in Smash 64. Therefore, he has had many different archetypes throughout the 5 Smash games, and different strengths and weaknesses over time. However, Luigi's main identity has always come from his horizontal combos as opposed to Mario's vertical combos. With crit combo starters, especially out of a grab, Luigi can rack up damage much faster than the average character. He also excels at having extremely strong combo finishers or burst finish moves such as his down B, side B, and up B. Luigi, with his low traction, one of the lowest throughout the series, actually some of the most unique movement as well. Some of his moves also give him an advantage in this regard. But in addition to everything Luigi stands for, one of his best attributes has always been his grab. Luigi's grab has always been a strong and central point of his game, whether it was his standard grab in the first 4 games or his tether grab like in Ultimate, as it let him set up into his combos and gave Luigi a reason to get in on his opponents, only forcing him to break that barrier once, and then getting heavily rewarded for it. While Luigi has some outstanding aspects, there are also some strong counters to each of his strengths that directly relate. Luigi has some great combos, but his range is quite poor, which is one of the biggest downfalls of his. Since he only uses his hands and legs for attacks, despite his large stature, there's still nothing in terms of range when compared to swords or projectiles. He struggles to get in on opponents because of this, but he's forced to do so because his combos are so effective. This is the vice to his grab as well, as he is forced to put himself in the most vulnerable state every single time he wants to get in. His fireballs help with this approach option, but it is not enough to solve this problem. The biggest issue with Luigi at the top level, however, is not his quick movement, but rather his slow recovery. Luigi really only has 2 recovery moves, his completely horizontal side B and his completely vertical up B. This means that his recovery is extremely easy to telegraph, which makes him very easy to edgeguard. Even though it goes pretty far since there are only 2 directions of the offstage movement, there's really only one path that Luigi can take to get back to stage. While his misfire on his side B can help in this regard, it can also hurt really badly with poor luck and just make Luigi suffer in this area. After the past 2 videos featured characters who were the best in their respective games, this video features the first result of a character who is the worst in their game. In the first game, Smash 64, Luigi started off as a almost complete Mario clone, with almost all the same moves. But there are some reasons as to why Mario ranked as a viable character in this game and Luigi definitely did not. The biggest reason for this is Luigi's main difference from his brother, his horrible speed. His ground speed, air speed, fall speed, they're all terribly low, which gives him a tough time keeping up with his opponents. Therefore, right off the bat, he was placed in the 10th spot out of the 12 characters in the game. This put him at the bottom of low tier, behind Donkey Kong and only above Samus and Link. However, this would be sadly his highest ranking that he would get in this game. While his range is no longer than Mario's, he has such a hard time getting in on his opponents that it really doesn't even matter in the long run. His current situation is also not ideal, which caused him to lose a significant amount of weight. This pushed him down the tier list to be placed at 11th in the D tier, only above Samus on the 3rd list, and finally in the 12th and last place on the final tier list in 2015. Since Luigi is literally the worst character in the game, his results section for Smash 64 is certainly lacking. The most notable Luigi player actually uses him as a secondary, such as Sar, who uses him behind Mario, and Shears, who uses him behind Pikachu and Yoshi. As for solo Luigi players, these include Cafe, Crystal, and Freesan, and a guy. All these players have been trying to keep Luigi afloat in the meta, but they clearly need help from some other characters, and a lot of dedication to the game. Luigi's had some major changes from Smash 64 to Melee, as the development team decided that it was time to start transitioning a Luigi away from being a Mario clone character, especially with the addition of Dr. Mario into the game, Mario's true clone. This meant that Luigi received some major move modifications. This starts even with his jab, whose third hit changes from Mario's kick to a unique Luigi butt bump. The trend continues, however, with his tilts. Luigi's down tilt changed into a crouch heel kick, which is more of a poke than a combo starter. His up tilt changed into a sweep above him. And while neither of these were dramatic changes, they still played an important role. Continuing, his F smash became a knife hand, his fair turned into a quick karate chop in front of the plumber, and in addition, Luigi's up B received a mechanical change, as it now goes directly upwards and is much stronger than it was in Smash 64, losing any horizontal movement it had though. But this horizontal movement was replaced with his side B, the green missile, which is a new addition to this game. Alongside this side B, Luigi also got an up throw, down throw, and a pummel to finish off the huge alterations from his Smash 64 appearance. As expected with a huge character revamp, there were a lot of gameplay differences that Luigi experienced in Melee. The largest benefit that Luigi received was wave dashing in the game. Since Luigi had the lowest traction in Melee, his standard wave dash goes extremely large distances, and allows him to have some of the quickest movement, which greatly helps him get in, as it was a struggle in the past game. In addition, Luigi has an interesting dichotomy in Melee, as he has the lowest airspeed in the entire game, but heavily relies on aerial moves and combos. This distinction makes it hard for him to move properly, but with the addition of wave dashing on platforms, Luigi can kind of work his way around this hole in his game. Also, his reliance on aerials for his combos works well in this game, as he's able to use L canceling to his advantage by slicing the end lag of his aerial moves in half by pressing the L button as he's landing. This fits in very well with his horizontal playstyle, as he is usually close to either the ground or a platform, meaning he can make the most out of L canceling. However, even with a new recovery option, Luigi's recovery is still gimpable and quite easy to read and counter. Just as Mario was perceived to be a really good character right off the bat in Melee, it was a similar idea for Luigi's first placement. His offstage game was not such a downside yet, which actually allowed for him to hold a spot at number 8 on the first tier list, between Samus above him and Peach below him, out of the total of 26 characters. For the first few tier lists, people liked Luigi. But as soon as wave dashing became an essential part of the game and the competitive scene, this all changed. While Luigi's extremely long movement in his wave dash had some upsides, it was not very precise, and Luigi players had to find a way to work around this when it came to the shorter wave dashes that could be used to microspace. This made Luigi drop down to 12th, where he would stay for the majority of the rest of the competitive scene until today. At this point, Luigi players were few and far between, which caused him to drop, and he sunk to the low point of 14th in the 10th tier list on the last day of 2010, which put him into D tier, between Mario and Donkey Kong. But as time went on, people began to wonder how Luigi would play if they picked him up again. Players began to master his funky movement, and not only use it to his advantage, but also in a matchup check on unsuspecting opponents. This resulted in Luigi being 12th in the B- tier in the final tier list, right on the cusp of being viable in 2021, right as he should be. For Luigi's Melee results, these really only started to come about later into the scene's life cycle. The best Luigi player of all time is Abate, who sadly does not play at the moment. His wins over players such as S2J and Axe, and placements such as a 7th at Big House 5 and a 25th at Genesis 4. However, he is not the only Luigi player who is both ranked, as Kamaster and Curve, the 74th and 75th ranked players, also used Luigi in the past to get wins and high placings. Other than these three, players such as Eddie Mexico, Bleach Jello, are the current best Luigi players, and Vista's up there as well. Luigi was kept relatively similar in the third and most forgotten game, but he did not make that large of a presence, and used this game to transition from an older form Luigi to a newer one for the next few games. The best of the moves that got changed in this iteration is Luigi's dash attack, which finally got fixed. In the past games, Luigi did not have a hitbox on the final hit of dash attack, but this was fixed after almost 10 years in Brawl. Another change is that the lag on Luigi's up B was dramatically increased when landing on the ground, as he is now stuck into the ground and has to pull himself out, making a little difference between him and Mario's gameplay. While Luigi may not have gotten tons of tangible changes to his moves, his playstyle due to this game plan was altered enough from the start, forming the new Luigi for the future. Other than pure movement changes, Luigi got a buff to his recovery, just from less lag in the air and more distance on his up B, the super jump punch, and his side B, the green missile. He also did get an increase in kill power, but these two buffs were not enough to make up for all the changes he lost in melee. Luigi's poor tractions now had no positives to balance out the negatives that were expected with the mechanic, after having such funky movement in melee due to wave dashing, and losing the ability to do so in Brawl. Now, in Brawl's neutral central game, Luigi's poor control over his movement pushed him down in the tier list because he needed to outmaneuver his opponent in order to transition from neutral to advantage, which he simply just could not do. His low air mobility was also a downfall here, as he could not keep up in the air or on the ground with other characters, especially the top tiers. People started to understand the issues with Luigi in Smash, as his lack of wave dashing, poor movement, short range, and other factors became really evident. This kept the player base really small for Luigi and led to his lack of results in the first tier list ranking. In the first tier list of September 2008, Luigi started out ranking 23rd in the middle tier between Bowser and Peach out of a total of 37 characters. While you would normally think that 23 out of 37 would not be a terrible ranking, but rather a mid-tier, with the polarizability of Brawl's top tier, anyone ranking under 15th is essentially non-viable. He remained in this range for the next few lists until 2012, where he began to sadly fall. The reason for this drop really stems from Luigi's matchup chart. Out of all the viable characters, Luigi loses to every single one of the game, and most of them are a -2 matchup, except for Meta Knight, who's even worse at a -3 for Luigi. This made Luigi drop a lot, and he went to the 29th spot on the tier list in F tier in April of 2012 on the 7th list, right under Pokemon Trainer. As the game progressed, Luigi's unimpressive results remained unchanged, and no significant changes to his game were discovered, resulting in him finishing 28th in the final tier list. He did have some scattered, oddly positive results in Brawl, but the scarcity of them, along with the lack of player base, did not help Luigi. Despite his poor placement on the tier list, Luigi had some strangely good results at the start of the game. A player by the name of Big Lou actually got 2nd at MomoCon 2013 with Luigi, as well as an 8th at Apex Orlando 2010. Other than him, Boss, an American Luigi player, got 17th at Apex 2009. However, after a few Luigi results in the early game of Brawl, he really did not get many more after that. Overall, Luigi's time in Brawl was subpar, and he used his time to transition to his new game in Smash 4, and it was for the better. In Smash 4, Luigi was nearing the endpoint of his full separation journey to become a character totally unique from his brother Mario. However, while Brawl was used as a game to fix up some funky aspects of Luigi and give him a newer Smash personality, Smash 4's job was to do the same with his attributes. Therefore, despite his moves staying completely the same, Luigi got major stat changes. This begins with his running speed, which got significantly increased, his airspeed, which had been slightly altered but still remained the second worst, and his gravity, which had been changed for the better or for the worse. With these changes, the Smash developers clearly wanted to show signs of Luigi and Mario to each other, but wanted them to take different directions. While Mario was much more of a vertical combo character, with these changes, Luigi came an almost entirely horizontal combo character. And despite his low airspeed, low range, and higher jump, this was the case. Luigi evolved into a highly volatile but strong character, who excelled once he got in, but struggled in all other phases of the game, due to his quicker moves and strangely horizontal angles on his aerial hitboxes. The largest change in the mechanic from Brawl to Smash 4 helped Luigi a ton, as a combo-oriented character. Since hit stun canceling was removed from Brawl, the mechanic that allowed characters to air dodge and essentially remove hit stun was gone, and Luigi gained his comboing ability back, making it one of his strong suits. With this part of the game back in play, it helped Luigi redefine his character and bring him up in the tier list, back into a style of play suited for his moves. In addition, Luigi got some of the biggest cheese ever in the Smash series, his Luigi Cyclone off stage. On stage, this attack is fairly standard, but off stage, Luigi can use it to drag down opponents off the edge to potentially footstool them and kill them at extremely early percents, even at 0. However, it was not all positive, as while the developers boosted his advantage, they also took away from his disadvantage. They decided not only to shorten his recovery distance, but also made Luigi's out of shield game a lot less viable due to the changes in shield stun and its mechanics. Therefore, in order to do well in the meta, Luigi had to find a way to hold an advantage while minimizing the time disadvantage more than other characters on the roster. Off the bat, players surprisingly saw Luigi as a viable character. They recognized the power of his down throw as the combo starter. The other reason that Luigi started off strong was due to multiple top Luigi players really pounding down on Diddy Kong. Since before the release of Cloud and Bayonetta, Diddy Kong had dominated the meta, with Luigi players getting an even matchup on him and taking down Zero a few times, they showed their worth in the meta of Smash 4. This placed him at 16th out of the 56 characters in the original game, without Corrin or Bayonetta, and at the top of D tier, which is below Yoshi and above Dark Pit. This was a hot start and made Luigi players hopeful of what was to come, but things quickly took a turn for the worse. As the first game to have patches, Smash 4 began to harm Luigi, with changes to some mechanics and moves. This caused him to plummet in the ranking as his down throw lost combo potential, and gave his out of shield option a lot worse options, and Corrin and Bayonetta released, two characters who destroyed Luigi. This gave him the second biggest tier list drop in Smash 4 history, where he ranked 29th just a few months after his initial 16th spot. He was now in the middle of Rob and Olimar, a considerable drop from before, but in an effort to keep Luigi the way he was meant to be, the developers and players worked hard to bring him back up. Due to both Sloth Biff and Elegant, top Luigi players, showing Luigi's skill at this time, he regained his initial spot and ended Smash 4 at an 18th spot on the final tier list. The number one player in Smash 4 is Elegant, as mentioned before. He had placings such as a 2nd at Game Tyrant Expo 2017, a 5th at 2GG Championship and Smash and Splash 4, and a 7th at Nairo and Abadango Sagas, with wins over MK Leo, Nairo, and Salem. He really was the main Luigi player, and ended up ranking 27th overall in the game. More highly ranked Luigi players are the 57th ranked Ron and the 54th ranked Shorio James, now known as Rivers. These players co-starred Luigi with other characters, but still used these characters at high levels throughout the game. The final notable Luigi player was Mr. Concon, who, while not ranked at the end, was the best Luigi player at the beginning of the game. In the current final game in the Smash series, the developers made final changes to Luigi to make him exactly how they imagined their perfect green plumber. These final changes were made to his moveset, as they gave Luigi some pretty substantial changes, such as his new grab. In honor of the Luigi's Mansion series, Luigi gained a tether grab at Smash Ultimate with his Poltergust. Luigi shoots a plunger out from the vacuum and grabs opponents, on whom he can perform a new pummel and 4 new throws. While the new throws are important, the main difference is the grab itself, as it gives Luigi more range than before, but also a Zair that can be used as a projectile in the air that's affected by gravity. Other than his grab, Luigi gained some huge buffs to his down B, Luigi's Cyclone. Despite no longer being used as a recovery option, as it doesn't stall or gain height, it gained insane invincibility and a win box, allowing it to be used as an excellent defensive option. Finally, he finished the changes with a new up tilt, which he swings a fist overhead in a different direction, giving him more range in front and behind him. There are a few strong buffs that Luigi got just based on the changes to the engine itself. The first of these had to be with the lower ending lag that Smash Ultimate had in comparison to Smash 4. As a combo-oriented character who uses a lot of aerials, Luigi's ability to get down after a move and jump back up again is really important, and something that Ultimate buffs a lot. In addition, he also gained a helpful recovery tool in his air dodge. Since Luigi's recovery is so linear, with only his side and up Bs, the one small alteration of an air dodge is just enough to give him a mix-up option, which benefits him so much. The final major buff that Luigi got in this game, and an essential part of his Smash Ultimate game plan, for better or for worse for other players, is his infamous Zero to Death. By using his new down throw, Luigi can set up for nairs, down airs, and up airs, finishing with a strong grounded up B to kill any character at 0. This is not really loved by the community, but is still an essential and important part of Luigi's game plan in Smash Ultimate. Throughout Smash's lifecycle, Luigi's spot on the tier list has had some slight fluctuation. In the beginning, Luigi's player base and the competitive scene in general believed that Ultimate Luigi would be much inferior to Smash 4, in part due to his new grab and the loss of Luigi's Cyclone off stage gimmicks. Along with no real Luigi results in the beginning of the game, his character was written off pretty early. That was until someone discovered his Zero to Death. This made Luigi much more of a viable option since, if you could pull off the Zero to Death consistently, you could win games just based on your own skill. However, with a nerf to the combo in the patch 2.0.0, it became a lot harder to do, but the Luigi player base kept pushing and found a way to figure it out. With more repetition over time, Luigi began to climb up to where he is today, on the cusp between low high tier and high mid tier. Due to two main Luigi players, one in the offline era and one in the online era, the character got a lot more attention, cementing his spot here on the tier list. The two Luigi players who took over the Ultimate scene were Elegant and Kirarash. Elegant, a former Smash 4 Luigi player, held the title of the best Luigi in the competitive scene for a while. He would be irrelevant for a while and then come back out of nowhere and do really well, such as with his 3rd at Main Stage 2021, 4th at Low Tier City 7 and Riptide, and with wins over Light, Samsora, and Tweak. At the end of 2022, however, Elegant was banned from the competitive scene and will no longer be able to post results. As for the other player, Kirrash, the best online Luigi player dominated with the character in the quarantine meta, where he took wins over Send and Yez in an offline win over Siski. In addition to these two, Waka, Luigi, and Yamanastion are also some top Luigi representatives for this game. Luigi has progressed from a complete clone to a completely unique character through the Smash series. In Smash 64, Luigi simply started out as a Mario clone, with only a few moves and alterations to make him different. The developers of Melee took advantage of his odd personality to give him some few differentiations and movements. In Brawl, Luigi had a breakdown and began his new character redesign. Smash 4 altered many of his stats and turned Luigi into the basis for the character known today. And finally, Smash Ultimate perfected the art of Luigi and completed the goal of making him totally unique. Overall, Luigi is an essential part of any Smash game, and his strange antics and explosive combos are a feature known and loved about this character.